And we're back. Ha. 97, episode 97 of Three Things with JR. You are here. You found me. We were off last week. I keep saying we. I was off last week. I did not record an episode because I just didn't have anything to say. And I was too busy watching Stranger Things on Netflix the night I would normally record. It was pretty sweet. That's a great show. If you're not watching Stranger Things, get on that. I've got a bunch of little updates for you, things going on, and I want to talk to you about my time as an Uber driver. So that's coming up here in a little bit after the break. But first, just a couple updates on everything that's going on in my life right now. Scherzer, my dog, if you've been listening to this show, you know that he was, about a month or so ago, attacked by a pit bull. That was no fun at all. He was pretty seriously hurt. And then it got infected, and it's been ongoing ever since. We are keeping a bandage on his leg where his infection got really bad, and they had to remove some skin. And he doesn't like it very much when we have to remove the old bandage to put the new bandage on. Mainly because of the tape pulling on his hair. He really, really hates it when you pull that off. And it's hard to get it off without pulling the hair and hurting him a lot. And he screams like a baby and tries to bite you. But we've got the cone on him, and I just hug him and keep him secure while Kiki's changed his bandage a couple times. My daughter Allison came over and helped me change the bandage. We're getting through it. And he is... He's full energy now. He runs around. He chases squirrels. He's pretty much back to normal. We don't put the cone on his head anymore because he's doing a good job of not chewing his bandage off his leg. He licks it. He licks his bandage, kind of like right where the actual skin was removed. His wound is underneath that bandage. And he will simply lick the bandage over like 20 minutes straight. It's kind of weird, but overall, Scherzer is doing well. I do have to go to court to deal with this whole thing a week from today. I'm technically recording this at 12:07 a.m. on Monday, June 20th. So it's Monday. A week from today, I have to go to court at 9 in the morning to tell my side of the story, and not really looking forward to having to go to court to deal with this, but it's a necessary part of the process. The lady owner of the other dog, she's going through some stuff personally, but she has so far made 2 payments to me, paying back the vet bills. At this rate, it'll be quite a few more payments, and apparently the court thing is going to involve in putting in place restitution. So I'm not sure how all that's going to work. I have no idea. But all I got to do is show up and tell them what happened, and the lawyers and judge will do the rest. So I don't think the other lady nor myself are going to be lawyering up at all. I'm just going to show up and let the judge decide and do it and go and let it be done. So whatever, that has to happen. But other than that, Scherzer's doing all right. So there's your Scherzer update. Kinky Boots is also going quite well. We're a couple weeks into rehearsal now. We've done a bunch of singing at rehearsal. We're doing some choreography with our choreographer named Corey, and it's going very well. We weren't sure at first if my character, Dawn, was going to do a lot of dancing with the other factory workers in this show. And I went ahead and learned the choreography just in case, but ultimately we decided Don is the least graceful person in this show, very much on purpose. That's his character. It's not just because I'm not all that graceful. It's actually an artistic choice the director has made that I fully agree with, by the way, that Don does not need to be dancing all around the factory because that is not something Don would be into. Remember, he's a bit of a gruff, close-minded asshole. And that's the character I'm playing. So I'm really going to have to do some acting because that is very much not me. He's kind of a mean, kind of a jerk, kind of a bully. And I'm going to have to figure out how to not be very nice to my co-stars in this show. So still working on that, but I think I can handle it because I can put on a character. I think I can act. We'll find out. This show, more than either of the previous two musicals that I have been in, is going to be more for me anyway. It's going to push my my skill level for acting more than anything else. In the last show, it was all about singing and dancing with some acting. And in the show before that, it was really more, I guess, I just got to tell stories on stage straight to the audience. So that's very much right in my wheelhouse. But singing and dancing in Something Rotten took me way out of my comfort zone and was amazing. This one is going to help me learn more about acting and how to become somebody else. So I'm really looking forward to doing more of that. And this week's rehearsals, we're going to get really into blocking each scene, figuring out where I'm supposed to be and where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to say what I'm supposed to say, and things like that. So this is for me, the blocking is kind of the most fun of the whole thing. So super looking forward to it. Kinky Boots is going really well. We are still, I say we, they. The people that are in charge of this show are still booking a few roles, still looking to cast a few people. I think someone dropped out who plays the older Mr. Price. So if you're a 50, 60-ish year old dude and you want to be in this show, it's not a huge part. You will get to do some singing though and be in the show. So if you're looking for to be in something and you're of the right age and all, come on, bring it on. That would be sweet. And I believe we're looking for a few more angels, some drag queens that can dance. So if you are any of those, come on, get in touch. I can tell you who to talk to. Greg Beam is his name. He's the director, and he is casting those roles still. So it would be nice to fill out the cast and have all of the roles in place. But we are on the way, and it is going to be an awesome show. So Shannon Arts is where you're going to be able to check that out in August. And you will not be sorry. You will have something to cheer for in this show because it's that good. The next show after that, I'm already starting to think about what I want to do next in musical theater. And we just, on Friday, just a couple days ago, we had the season reveal party at the Wayne. At the Wayne in Waynesboro, meaning they announced all of the shows they will be doing at the Wayne in the next year, in the latter half here of 2022 and the early parts of 2023. And there's a bunch of good shows coming, a bunch of Studio Wayne stuff, which is for the kids that are learning all about acting and singing and dancing and such. They're doing a bunch of shows. There's some plays coming. None of it really grabbed me as far as, I'm not really familiar with these shows that they're doing, except for one. There's one that's coming to the Wayne next year. I believe it's the spring musical in 2023 that I am very excited about. And that would be Little Shop of Horrors, which... There's a couple roles in that show. If you're familiar with Little Shop of Horrors, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'm not sure yet which one I really want to go for, but I think I would be okay. And I think my first choice would be the voice of Audrey 2. That's the plant in Little Shop of Horrors. I would love to do that role. If that isn't in the cards, then I think Mushnick, the owner of the plant shop, the guy that owns the place, I think I could pull that role off. And of course, I would love to be the dentist in that show. So there's 3 roles that I feel like I could do all 3 of them. Not at once. I could do any of the 3 of them, and I would be extremely happy. But I absolutely love that musical. Going to see it in New York in next month in July. So the current cast, it's a revival right now. It's off Broadway, smaller theater, but it's got some big names in it like Christian Borle, who played Shakespeare in the original Something Rotten. things like that. I'm excited. I can't wait to see Little Shop of Horrors. I am actively listening to Little Shop of Horrors on a regular basis. I probably should be listening to the music of Kinky Boots as I drive around, but Little Shop of Horrors is taken over, and I'm super excited about that show, even though it's quite a ways away. So I will be ready for that audition for sure. At the reveal party at the Wayne on Friday night, we were all backstage getting ready to do the show. I was actually the MC of this show. I got to basically announce all of the reveals, or most of them, and have some fun with the audience and just keep the show going, which was a total blast. Absolutely loved being on that stage, having fun, interacting with the audience, playing some games, revealing some shows. I got to reenact a little bit of my musical song from Something Rotten. It just brought it all back. But something interesting happened in backstage. We're in the green room before the show starts, and this woman comes in who is clearly part of the show, and she had one of the shirts on that we were all wearing, and I was looking at her going, I know this person. Where do I know this person from? I couldn't quite figure it out. I was looking at her thinking, was she one of the backstage moms of one of the kids from A Christmas Story? I kept looking at her thinking, no, I don't think so. But I've definitely seen this person, like a bunch. I've seen this person a lot of times, but I can't figure out where. And then, as we're literally on stage, I'm about ready to introduce her to the audience. She was originally cast in Little Shop of Horrors when the Wayne was getting ready to put that show on before the pandemic shut things down. So they had already planned to do this show, and this person was already booked to do one of the roles. She was booked to play Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors back in 2020. And she will be returning and to play that role in the Wayne's version of Little Shop of Horrors next year. And part of the reveal party was for me to introduce her onto the stage, to bring her up, and she actually sang one of the songs from the show, and that was awesome. And when I said her name, when I saw it on my script for this reveal party event, that's when I realized I was introducing the lady I watch on the news every night, Channel 29 News here in Charlottesville. It was Casey Hott. I see her every night practically going to bed, or when I should be going to bed, watching the news. And she's one of the main anchors on the 11 o'clock news on the channel that I watch the news on. So that's when I figured out who I was introducing. And she and I were talking after the show, and I was telling her that, and she was telling me I did a great job emceeing. I told her I can't wait. I hope I get to be cast in a role in Little Shop of Horrors with her. She said, "Oh, you'd be great. We agreed that I should go for Audrey too, the voice of the plant, that would be the best." So I think I'm pretty excited about all that. So looking forward to the next thing. I probably will take the rest of this year off after Kinky Boots, unless some show comes up that I just can't. Bump my mic stand there. Unless some show comes up that I just can't ignore. Between now and then, I think I may take a little time from it, just because it's a lot. I mean, 2 to 3 to 4 days a week of rehearsals, and then tech week, and then the shows. It's a big commitment, and it's worth every minute spent doing it. It's that rewarding and fun, but it's also a lot. So it might be nice to not do it for just a few months and focus on prepping for Little Shop of Horrors. Anyway, that's what's going on there. I was at Kinky Boots rehearsal today, and on the way home, I stopped into Waynesboro, where Kiki, my girlfriend, was singing the national anthem at a baseball game. They have like a semi-professional baseball league in the Valley, and this was the Waynesboro Generals against the Newmarket Rebels, and they had a doubleheader. And for the second game, Kiki and some other folks from the Waynesboro Choral Society, I think that's what it's called. There was about 5 or 6 of them that all joined in, and they had a mic. They were at home plate, and they sang the national anthem. And man, they did fantastic. Super impressed. I got to video the thing for them, and just absolutely loved it. Watched a little bit of baseball. Gosh, I miss watching some baseball. My favorite team, the Nationals, has not given me anything to be excited about this year. So to actually see some baseball that was kind of fun, live and in person, up close, I might want to go back to Waynesboro Generals games, or maybe I could just go right here to the Charlottesville Tom Sox games. We've got baseball all around, and I don't know, might be fun to go watch some games. But mainly, Kiki and the Waynesboro Choral Society did a great job of singing the national anthem. That was sweet. They recently opened a car wash near my work. I've been washing my car a lot. It's the perfect car wash for me. It's not the kind where you have to let somebody else go wash it or clean the inside of it. It doesn't take very long. It's not all that expensive. They have like a monthly membership for like $34 unlimited. It's the type where you just go in and get your car in the little groove and it just pulls your car through it. And it's not brushless. It's got brushes. It cleans your car. It beats your car and waxes your car and heats it and dries it and all that. It's a pretty great car wash. And then there's free vacuums and stuff. I have been, the first month is like only $1. And I just got my membership like a little over a week ago, and I've washed my car 4 times in there. My car has never been so clean. Sometimes I use the vacuums. Sometimes I just wash the outside. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I kind of dig in keeping my car washed. So there you go. I don't know why I bothered to tell you that. Who cares about my clean car? I would love to tell you, though, about what it was like to be an Uber driver in a pickup truck in Charlottesville about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. And I've got some stories, one particular one that's pretty amazing. All of that when we come back from the break. See you in a minute.
Nothing I can say. Change your mind and stay. So I'll see you later today.
So I'm not an Uber driver now, but I was a few years back when I divorced my ex-wife and moved out and separated and needed more money because for a little while there, I was paying both her bills and mine, and just, my regular income wasn't quite cutting it. So I needed a way to bring in more money. And my friend Darren up in Northern Virginia was driving for Uber and making decent money doing that. So I started to look into it, and sure enough, Uber had just recently started operating in Charlottesville that year in like September. And it was around December that I decided to try it. And so what I was driving at the time, and I still own it, was a 2010 Ford F-150. Pretty beautiful truck back then. It's a little ragged now, but back then it was gorgeous. I kept it clean. It was shiny. It was red. Had a good stereo in it, and plenty of room in there. And obviously not great on gas. So in that respect, not a great vehicle for Uber. But in every other way, it was a fantastic Uber vehicle. Uber approved it, and I was on board. So I started driving for Uber in Charlottesville, which mainly consisted of picking college kids up, undergrads and grad students from their homes, their dorms, their grad housing, graduate living housing, whatever they call that, apartments where they lived, and taking them to downtown Charlottesville, either to the corner or to the downtown mall or wherever they wanted to go, and bringing them out there so they could drink. And then if you're still driving hours later when the bars are closing, that's when you really make the most money because everybody needs to get home. And I drove many, many drunk college students back to their dorms and graduate student housing. So that was a lot of fun. That was most of the job. And there was a couple things, though, that were a little out of the ordinary that happened. When you drive for Uber, I didn't know what to expect. Was there going to be a lot of people barfing in my truck? That was a possibility, especially with how much those kids drink. But really, no. I mean, I had some drunk people in there, people that I thought were going to barf, people that came close, people that barfed when they got out of my truck, when they somehow were able to hold it. but nobody barfed in the truck. So I know that's what you were wondering. It didn't happen. The closest it came to happening was not even with drunk college students. It was with some drunk middle-aged dudes that I picked up from Farmington Country Club at about 9:30 on a Friday night. Wasn't even very late. I picked these three guys up. They were staggeringly drunk. I mean, they could barely get into my truck, but they did. And I drove one guy home from Farmington. I had to go into town and then up 29 North, almost out to the airport to drop the first guy off. And on my way up Route 29, it's like 4 lanes of road, but not very many people on it. And it was cold out. And I noticed as I was changing lanes, I looked in my left side mirror, and I noticed that one of the guys in the back seat has opened his window all the way and is leaning out of the window, ralphing all over the road and a little bit on the side of my truck. So it was not in my truck, but it was on the side of my truck. He was in a bad way. But I got his friend home first. I got his other friend home in downtown Charlottesville. And then I had to drive this guy all the way to the other side of Charlottesville and into a gated community, almost to his house. He couldn't quite direct me all the way to his house, but I think I got close. And he's like, right here will be fine. And I let him out, and he barfed again into the ditch right on the little road right there. And then he's like, you're good, man. And he just started walking. And so I think I got him close to home. But that was the closest. I hosed the truck off and went back to driving for Uber that night. Successful. That was actually a pretty lucrative ride because it was a long ride, a lot of miles, a lot of time, and it was a good ride. So success on that regard. Another memorable night of driving for Uber was my first Valentine's Day. This was like the perfect storm for Uber. If you're driving for Uber, you want to be available when everybody needs a ride home after a large event, right? So if you're driving for Uber after a football game or a concert, wherever you live, if you're driving for Uber, that's a great time because so many people need a ride. The prices go up because of surge pricing, and you know right where to be, so you're right there ready when they request their ride. It was great. I didn't realize there was a huge event going on at the downtown mall. It was called the Barrister's Ball, and it was all these UVA law students having a ball for Valentine's Day, and they all needed to get home. This was after I had already given many people rides to and from their dates. This was late in the evening, like after midnight, and it was also very, very cold, like down around 0 type of cold, like way colder than normal for Central Virginia. So nobody was walking, nobody was waiting around for cabs, nobody wanted to drive because they had all been drinking. So everybody needed Uber at the time. That's all there was other than cabs was Uber. I guess they had like a shuttle bus, but again, that would fill up and you'd have to stand around and wait for the next shuttle bus, and nobody wanted to do that with how cold it was. It was the perfect storm. Everybody needed Uber rides. The prices were like at 5 or 6 times their normal price, and the rides were pretty quick and short. It was like 3 or 4 miles from the downtown mall out to where most of them live, near the law school, and then right back. Like you didn't go available until you got close, back to the Barrister's Ball to pick up some more. And I mean, that night I made a killing. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 or $700 in one night. Just driving for Uber. Very, very lucrative. It was awesome. The 1 year later, I planned, I had something to do that Valentine's Day, the next one. Like a year later, my band had a gig, and I drove home from the gig to unload the trailer of our stuff, and then I went back out to drive for Uber. I actually got a ticket on the way home from the band gig, which was really annoying. Got a ticket there, and but I went ahead home. I figured, heck, I got to pay for this ticket. I'll go drive for Uber. And it was not the perfect storm this time. A lot of people had figured out other rides, and surge pricing wasn't up. There wasn't a ton of people. I did not make a lot of money, but I did have a truckload of 4 people, future UVA lawyers, got in my truck to drive home from the Barrister's Ball. and I was coming down Preston Avenue where the speed limit is 25. Apparently, I let the truck go a little bit too fast down this hill, and I got a ticket for doing something like 42 in a 25. And I mean, the cop was just sitting there waiting for somebody to come flying down the hill. That cop did not care that I was performing a service, getting drunk people home safely so they're not out driving home themselves. The UVA lawyers, they didn't like it at all. They were telling the cop he shouldn't do it, but he gave me that ticket. The judge didn't care. I got 2 tickets in one night, one of them while driving Uber. That was literally the last night I drove for Uber. That was it. I was done at that point. I had already relieved myself of much of the bills that I had to pay for, separating and divorce and all that. So I didn't need all of that extra money. It was becoming more of a nuisance and a cost, an expenditure, than it was a money-making thing. So I stopped driving for Uber that night. The craziest thing that happened while I was driving for Uber, though, is it's still a mind-blowing story for me to tell. I'm pretty sure I saved a lady's life that night. So it was late. It was already late. I was considering being done, but I picked up this ride. I had to pick up a lady from a hotel. Now, it wasn't a lady's name that came up on the ride. It was a guy's name. But when I got there, there was a lady sitting out front of this hotel. She had a suitcase. She was wearing a low-cut top, exposing a lot of cleavage. She wasn't giving off prostitute vibes, but she was giving off sex vibes. Like she was going somewhere to maybe have some sex. Don't know for sure, but that's, I think, what she was going for. When she got in, she had to put her suitcase in the back. She asked if she could ride up front. She asked if she could smoke. I said, yeah. We both smoked. It was great. That part was nice. I asked her, she somehow volunteered that she was already a bottle of wine deep. So she told me she had already been drinking. As I'm accepting the ride and she's getting in and we're talking, I'm looking at the destination, the place I have to drive her to. And it's out near Dulles Airport, which is a long drive from downtown Charlottesville. This was going to be an hour and a half long one-way trip from Charlottesville to a hotel near Dulles Airport. And I said, "Are you sure this is the correct destination? We're going to this hotel near Dulles Airport." And she said something like, "Yeah, if that's what it says, that's where I'm going." I'm like, that's a strange answer. I said, "Okay. But this isn't your name. So did somebody else request the Uber?" And she said, yeah, it's a guy I'm going to see. I said, "Okay." And I made sure she knew. I said, "This ride's going to be a while. It's going to be like an hour and a half." She said, "Yeah, that's fine. Whatever." I said, "Okay, I might have to stop for gas on the way there. Are you okay with that? We're good?" She's like, yeah, that's fine. So he says, "All right." I said, so I had to decide at that point. I could still refuse the ride. I hadn't left yet. I could have said no, but I decided this was going to be a decent amount of money, more than pay for the gas, more than pay for the whole night of Ubering. And so I figured, yeah, why not? I'll drive her there, drop her off, and I'm done for the night. I'll head home. So we get rolling down the road. We're getting out of Charlottesville. We're heading up north on Route 29, and I start talking to her, and she starts asking me questions. And one of the interesting things she said was, "Are you still going to be available tomorrow if I need a ride home?" I said, "No, I will not be available. I won't be anywhere near where I'm taking you because I live here in Charlottesville, and you're going to be an hour and a half away. But don't worry, there will be other Uber drivers. All you need to do is go onto your Uber app and request a ride, and somebody will pick you up, but it will not be me." And then she said, "What's Uber?" She didn't know what Uber was. She was in an Uber, admittedly requested by someone else, but she didn't even know what the deal was. So I explained to her what Uber was and how that she could get another ride. She seemed okay with that. I started asking her, I said, so are you going to see your boyfriend or what? And she started explaining to me that this was not a person she'd ever met before in person. It was somebody she came to know on Facebook. This person told her that he was going to be in town in D.C. area for the weekend, and he wanted to see her. They'd been talking apparently on Facebook. She didn't know what he did for a living, something for the government, but very much undisclosed. She didn't know, and she didn't seem to care. And she started to realize that maybe she was heading into a bad situation. And she started to ask me things like, will you stick around after you drop me off just in case? And I was like, so yeah, I'll walk you to the door. Maybe I could do that. I keep a little thing of pepper spray here in my truck just in case an Uber ride goes wrong, but you can have it. I'll give it to you so that you have some way of defending yourself if something goes wrong. And yeah, if you're not comfortable, I don't have to leave you there. So that she felt a little bit better about it. We just kept talking about it, and the more we talked, the more she realized that this was a bad idea. And she was, again, reminding you, drunk, already kind of drunk, not slurring her speech drunk, but clearly not making great decisions drunk. And we talked about, we had gotten pretty much to Culpeper. So we had been driving now for 30 to 45 minutes from Charlottesville, about half of the way, almost half of the way to her destination, when she finally said to me, gosh, I'm a little worried. This might be a bad idea. I said, I'm telling you, I think it is a bad idea. I don't think I would do this if I were you. She's like, yeah, I make bad decisions. I'm like, this could be one of them. And I just kept trying to urge her not to do it. And finally she said, gosh, I just wish I had somebody to make decisions for me. I said, well, I'll be glad to make this decision for you. She said, yeah, what would you do? I said, if it's up to me right now, we're going to turn this truck around and I'm going to drive you back to Charlottesville. She said, okay, but how would that work? I said, well, here's the deal. Whoever this guy is, he's the one that requested the Uber. He knows where we are right now because he can look at his Uber app and see on a map exactly where his Uber is. Even though he's not in it, he knows where his Uber is because he's watching us on a map. He'll know before we even get there that we're there, right? So here's the deal. If I end this ride, if I hit the end button on my app right now, the ride is over and he can no longer see where we are. And then we'll turn around and we'll drive back to Charlottesville. She said, but what if he, what if he calls me? I was like, he's probably going to call you. And here's the deal. You can't answer the phone. Don't answer it at all. And then he's going to call you again. Don't answer it. And then he's going to text you. Don't answer those texts. He's probably going to be very mad. He's probably not going to be happy about this at all. But he won't know where we are. And we're going to get you back home safe. She said, okay, but how much do I pay you? I'm like, well, here's the deal. When I hit end, that's going to end the ride, and it's going to charge him whatever it costs to go from where we started to where we are right now. Right? So whatever that is, if you want to pay me that much, I'll drive you home for that much. I don't know. If you don't have the money, don't worry about it. She said, no, I have the money. It's fine. I would gladly pay you to drive me home. I think that's the right decision. Let's do that. I said, all right. I hit end on the thing. I hit the next exit. We turned around and started driving back. And sure enough, her phone started ringing pretty quick. She didn't answer it. He started texting her things like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Get back here, you stupid bitch. Stuff like that. She didn't respond, at least not while she was with me. And we immediately knew that she and I had made the right decision, that she was in all likelihood heading into a situation that was not going to end well. Could have been any number of bad things could have happened if she'd have gotten to that person's door, and probably not great things would have happened to me if I had accompanied her. That would have probably sucked for both of us. So we drove back, and on the way back, she, again, didn't answer the text, didn't answer the calls. We were driving back. It occurred to me that he actually knows where she was. Like he knows the hotel she was at when I picked her up, because he gave me accurate directions to pick him up or her up at the hotel. So he knew exactly where she was staying. I suggested to this lady, you really should stay somewhere else, not at that hotel, because he knows where you are at that hotel. And if he wants to, he could drive down here and find you and do whatever. I would suggest you stay somewhere else, and I'll be glad to drop you anywhere else you want. But ultimately, she just said, nope, take me back to the same place, back to the room. I've already got a room there. I'm just going to go back to the same hotel. So that's what we did. Drove her back to that hotel. Got her all the way there. I helped her bag out of the truck, and she said, would you like to come up to the room and hang out for a bit? And I said, absolutely not. I am done for the night. I need to go home and go to bed. I don't know what that was an invitation for, but whatever it was, I did not want any part of it. And that's the craziest thing that happened to me as an Uber driver. I like to think that most of my driving for Uber was absolutely performing a service that keeps the world just a little bit safer. I think most Uber drivers are not just making it convenient for somebody to get from point A to point B, but there's a reason those people aren't driving, especially at night in downtown, whatever town you're in. You are probably saving lives. If those people didn't have Uber as an option, they might consider driving for themselves. They might make poor decisions that could affect all of us. So, and in this one very special case, I'm pretty sure I very specifically saved that lady's life. And it was the craziest thing that happened to me as an Uber driver, but also the thing that I am most proud of doing as an Uber driver is keeping that lady from making a horrible decision. She did pay me. She pulled out a wad of money from between her breasts and peeled off. It was something like $60. So $60, the guy paid me in Uber. She gave me another $60 in cash, which I absolutely accepted it because I felt like she benefited a lot from this, and I think I earned my $60. I hope that guy got some help. I hope that guy, what I really hope is that I didn't save her life, and that guy was just looking for a nice fun evening with a nice drunk lady. But in all likelihood, it was not going to end well. So saved a lady's life, stopped driving for Uber after I got 2 tickets and didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, it turned out to not be much of a moneymaker overall, Uber. It was great in the short term because I needed cash, and you got paid from Uber every week, and I needed that cash every week, and it really came in handy. What I didn't do was save any money to pay because you're a contractor for Uber, so you have to calculate and pay your own taxes on all of that, and I did not put any money aside for taxes. So come tax time, I was in for a rude awakening, and that and the failed Barrister's Ball 2, where I got 2 tickets in one night. That was enough for me to go, I'm not making the money I need to make here. This is actually worse. Gas prices not doing great at the time. Not quite as bad as they are today, but gas in a Ford pickup truck driving for Uber wasn't exactly the most economical thing. So the stars aligned. I got out of Uber and I haven't looked back. I got to say, though, I had a lot of fun. If I needed a job, I would drive for Uber again. I liked doing it. The actual job itself was fun. I had a lot of fun people in the car, in the truck. We played music. We sang. We got them where they wanted to go. We had a good time. Got them all home later on in the evening. And, that was most of what it was just having a fun time driving drunk college kids around. So, I wish I could do it again and make some more money, but I don't think I'm going to be an Uber driver again anytime soon. So there you go. That's the show. Episode 97 done. Over. Out. I will probably be back next week. If I have something to say, I'll be here. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. But that's this one. We're done. Over and out. See you next week. Have a good night.